I mean, to say, if I was told myself back then, 2022, you'd still be doing it. You'd now have like extra streams of revenue and business opportunities coming through. And you just did like a global crisis that kind of knocked the travel industry as well.
Yeah. Hello, Ellie. Welcome to the Muslimah Entrepreneur Podcast. How are you?
Hello, assalamu alaikum. I'm good, alhamdulillah. How are you doing?
I am very good. The sun is shining. So I'm in Corsica, south of France. So I'm enjoying the sun and the good temperature. It's windy, but I'm like, oh, thank God, just enjoying. How about you?
Yeah,
how is life in the UK?
Yeah, it's at the moment obviously it's cold and wet and windy, but alhamdulillah it's fine. And I'm actually fasting today as well, so I've had like a good fasting morning so far, which is always good to start off the day. And just a couple of hours left now, like making use of the winter days as well with the fasting.
That's awesome. Your story about fasting got me really inspired. So I've been thinking about fasting the Mondays and Thursdays for a while, but I've been having, difficulties getting into it. I've been doing, intermittent fasting, juice fasting, but I was like, I had so much procrastination for Mondays and Thursdays. And I was like, okay, last week I'm like, okay, I'm doing on Thursday. I'm putting it on my Instagram. So accountability, guys, who wants to join? But your story inspired me. But why am I procrastinating on that? Let me prepare Ramadan. Let me and now I have a coach friend. She's like, do you want to come and talk about fasting in my Facebook group? Because I just love this topic and I've been, diving deep into it. So definitely the benefits are here. And from the spiritual side, I'm like, so I wanted to thank you for that. Okay.
Oh, thank you. No, it's great. And I do hear a lot of, feedback like that as well from, when I post that on my Instagram. And I feel like I also post it a bit like you as like an accountability thing, like I'm going to fast tomorrow. And, so I use it as an accountability, but then in the same way, people say like, oh, you like reminded me, like let's fast during winter, or, some people like, weren't aware of the sunny days if they're new Muslim following me, that kind of thing. So that's great to hear.
It's so important. Also, Ramadan is coming up, inshallah. So it's like you're preparing yourself, your body, especially if you want to take full advantage. And, alhamdulillah, like for the past few years, I'm like, okay, I need to take advantage of this important month to really work on myself, like spiritually and like, mating my body, like submitting my body. And you need preparation. It takes a lot of like pre-work. So I love that you're doing that we're doing that, and we're putting it out there, because we never know who's going to watch it, and like they're going to say like, oh, well, let me do it.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Awesome. So the Muslimah Entrepreneur Podcast, so the main listeners are for like Muslim business women, and I just love having other Muslim women entrepreneurs. So I want you to introduce yourself to people and let us know who is Ellie and what is she doing.
Yeah, thank you. No, it's so good to be here. I've listened to quite a few of your podcasts as well, so it's really good to now be on it. So my name's Ellie Quinn. My main job is a travel blogger and then content creator as well. So I've had my travel blog now since like 2015, 2014, and I've been working like full-time as a travel blogger, content creator, so including Instagram, YouTube, as well as my travel blog since 2018, which I'm sure we'll talk about later on. That was very much a jump that I took into, changing from full-time work into, trying to make this my full-time thing. And now since 2018, alhamdulillah, it has been. And then I became a Muslim in 2020. So like a year and a half ago now. And afterwards, a couple of months afterwards, when I was kind of ready to share more things online about my journey to Islam and becoming Muslim, I set up a second Instagram account. So I run two Instagram accounts now. I have The Wandering Quinn, my travel blog, and then _equin, just my personal one, which I focus on just general all lifestyle things, but with a focus on Islam. Like that's where I go to share my fasting, because I just love that pretty much it's all Muslims following me, and like everyone gets the lingo. Like I have a few people messaging me like, what does inshallah mean? What does alhamdulillah mean? But they're kind of people who have been following me for years, and they're just on that account wondering, you know, like about Islam, which is great. But I also love on that account, I don't have to explain myself, like people just get it. So I really, really love that community, and I love running the both. And then together they are my full-time job, content creator, and I love it.
This is so amazing. So you just gave us a timeline. So you started, 2015, I suppose, like as a hobby, this is something that you love to do and you wanted to share the information. When we usually start blogging is like on the side and like, oh, I would just, I like it. I want to share with people, but might be useful. And then you went on full, like content creator, travel blogger in 2018. In that journey, like to today, so you shared like a bit of your professional journey and then your personal journey, like what has been, the three biggest struggles that you went through, this journey? And it can be anything, like on a personal or professional level. And of course, like, how did you overcome them? Or if you haven't overcome them, like, what's the process for you right now to like, find a solution out of it?
Yeah, so I'd say obviously the biggest one was COVID, I guess, in terms of, being a travel blogger. It really wasn't good when, everyone stopped reading travel blogs, and obviously travel brands stopped working with travel bloggers because we just had no idea what was happening. So, like financially then like business level, like my finances just completely dropped, for a few months, and like, alhamdulillah, like a few other random things came in, but that was a real reminder to me kind of, and I think to a lot of travel bloggers, not to put all of your like eggs in one basket, as they say, and I was very thankful for like savings that I had. That was, I know a lot of people suggest, obviously when you go into doing something yourself full time, having that savings to fall back on, whether it's for the first few months or like to future proof yourself. So that was really, really good. And obviously I feel very grateful for that. And then since then things have built back up. And then I'd say another struggle is definitely just, like how much do I share online as well? Because, you are your own brand as well. And although I know like a lot of travel bloggers who, just do really, really well just from their travel blog, they don't share anything personal about themselves. They're not Instagrammers, they just want to write, and they're really good at writing, getting the website really good. But I do think, to be able to do press trips and work with other brands, you have to put obviously that's your face. You are who they want to work with. And especially creating the second Instagram account and sharing a bit more on YouTube. It's, I want to share a lot. Like I watch a lot of vlogs, to be honest, of like people's daily lives. And, I think, gosh, I'd love to, just put the camera up in the morning whilst I'm making breakfast, blah, blah. But I don't want people just to see me making breakfast. And especially then, like becoming hijabi. I was even thinking earlier, like last year, I filmed a lot during Ramadan, like just general vlogs. But like now, like, I don't want to be in my hijab all day in case I want to film, in my house. So it's like trying to deal with like, what do you share online? And I've just recently got married and like have like stepchildren now, alhamdulillah. So like, what do I share of that? And how do I still share myself so people relate, but not share too much? So that's definitely one. And then I'd say the other thing is just kind of, I'd say also like working with brands and things and like knowing your value. That's something that I've been really working on recently of, people saying, like, can we send you something gifted or for free in return for this? And just knowing like what's worth like it, because it still takes up a lot of time, as a content creator to obviously create that, even if it doesn't take up that much time, just snapping a photo and editing it and loading it. It's still like mentally, you're thinking about it, you're planning it, it's on your to-do list. And so there's still a lot to it. And even as press trips, as for my blog, I still get invited on things, that are free, which sounds amazing because it's a free trip, but then they also require a lot of content as well. And then in that time, you're not getting paid for anything else. So I'm really trying to work out like my worth and my value right now, like putting my rates up a little bit. And so far, things have been taken quite well with just a little bit of an increase. So yeah, I'd say that's the three things.
Yeah, but first of all, that's awesome. That's actually a lot. And like everybody can just, recognize themselves in here. Like COVID, I mean, definitely. I mean, for us, thank God also had 100% of my business online, like during COVID. So I wasn't hit that hard, but I know like people just got, like what is going on. And actually I wanted to move to Malaysia in 2020. So I traveled there in January to check things out. I'm like, okay, what is going on? I like it. Okay. Came back home and I'm like, okay, March, going to Malaysia. And then COVID happens, like, no, you're staying in Corsica, right? Like, thank you, COVID, like, but I'm following Allah's plan. And it has been also a blessing because it enabled me to really work on a foundational piece of my business, and then just think clearly and focus on myself and all of that. So amazing. And I love that you had saving. And again, it's an amazing tip of like, we never know what might happen, right? And like as Muslims also, we understand that it makes sense, right? We never know what might happen, so better be prepared. And I love that you're thought like that, which I envy you for. Yeah. I'm like live in the moment type of woman. I'm learning. And then you talked about how much you share online, and again, like this is so important, especially as a woman. Sometimes we may feel the pressure, even unconsciously, because we tend to compare ourselves with people online, like, oh my gosh, they're doing this, and like, this is super popular, when you share, like your wedding or whatever, like, oh, okay, now what am I comfortable with? And I love that you said, I don't want to wear the hijab.
It's like a whole different, it's like, okay, actually, like I can't really do that anymore, which is fine as well. Or it's just rethinking about, there's so much more there to it.
It's a lot of planning, 100%. I hear you. And especially if you want to do something quality, but I'm the same, like I want to make more stories and like, but I'm like, oh, okay, I have to wear my hijab. I have at least to wear a little bit of makeup to not scare people with my dark circles.
Yeah.
So, but I definitely hear you. But again, like, we just had a chat before we jump on the episode, and I'm like always reminded, especially last year, because I felt myself drained of like I needed to push myself and like put content everywhere. And at some point I'm like, actually I lost control. I let like social media control me. And I just remembered, no, I'm the one in control. I show whatever I want to show, and I post whenever I can. So I think it's a great lesson for people that feel the pressure of like, I need to be 24/7 because the apps are like a 24/7. So no, you don't, like just it's all about organization. How did you so what were your outcomes? Like have you decided regarding what to share? For example, have you thought like a month down the line or like a few months down the line?
Not really, to be fair. I do kind of it's quite in the moment as well. And I do often, go a few days or even a week sometimes without sharing that much. And I do make a conscious effort as well. Like, okay, especially, because it does also take up a lot of time as well, doesn't it? Instagram, even just making stories and things. So sometimes I'm like, okay, this week I'm just going to focus on, my blog. And I'm just going to have like a week on my laptop to try and stay off my phone. So I don't really think, but then some days I'm like, okay, I've got a lot going on today. So I'm just going to share a couple of stories, and I try to I notice myself that when I find myself going on Instagram and just posting stories really easily, it's because I really enjoy it. And obviously that's why I first started sharing stories as well, and posts, and I do it in the moment. It's because I'm just like, this is enjoyable, and what most people do, right? But when it kind of feels like, oh, I have to go on Instagram, obviously if sometimes it's for work, and if it's for something that I've agreed with a brand, like of course you have to, but I do try and be mindful of like keeping it enjoyable. And if it doesn't feel enjoyable, then I just tend to take a few days off. And you can always post things later. I always think like, okay, I want to post from today, but like, I don't, it doesn't have to go up today, of course. So like in a few days time, I can put it up. And then if I feel like putting it up in a few days time, I do. And if I don't, then it's like, no, it's not the end of the world.
That's awesome. Exactly. Like having the clarity of like, I'm in control. This is what I'm willing to do. And of course, separate the professional to the personal. I've done a training on that, especially in the middle of COVID, where people like were working at home and that were like, I don't have a life anymore because everything is work. And I'm like in my computer, I don't know what is going on. My children are there. And like, no, there are tools and strategies that you can put yourself, that you can use to really separate the professional, from the personal. And 100% when you're a content creator, that's definitely something to be intentional, about. And I love the fact that you're, working on it, that you were aware of this. So that's amazing. And knowing your value, again, like that's a women thing. Like, oh my gosh, this is like, we can talk for hours about that. I had just had a conversation about this like yesterday with another coach. We're like, what? Like the prices, we're like, no, the prices that you're asking are not helpful for you or for your clients. Like, no, you got to push them up. And we always like, maybe like it's too expensive, or people will not, no. It's like, what's the value of the service I'm providing? Like, my coach says, you're in the business of transforming lives, as a coach. So like when you have that in mind, I'm like, oh, okay, now it's different and it's your livelihood. So how are you figuring things out with that one? Like what was your thinking process?
Yeah, I think also I'm just trying to manage my workload as well right now. So especially, I've had quite a few changes recently, I got married, and then I have 3 stepsons, which we have like half of the week. So now I have to do like school runs and, like a big food shop and like so many more things that I didn't have to do before. And I was just like looking after me. Yeah. And, then I could spend, pretty much my whole day, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, when I wasn't traveling, working, but now I can't. So I'm just trying to work out, like, firstly, what do I actually want to do? And also like turning down things that maybe it is good pay, but it just doesn't fit. It doesn't like light me up. It just feels like it would be an effort. And that's also part of the value thing, isn't it? Like, even if it was a good rate, like, is it really, even if it fits for you, like, do you really want to do it? And then secondly, just thinking, I would rather work with someone or do a campaign or something that's like, more long term. So actually I recently just speaking to someone like a big travel brand about doing like some monthly content for them, like an agreed rate every month. So that for me is really great because it's like, it's just going to come in. So the long-term relationships, and just like at least then I know that's coming up every month and I can plan for it. I know the money's coming in. So just kind of trying to like assess each thing as it comes in and like, and also probably compare like, okay, what would someone else offer, and like, and also just like what value am I giving, especially when I've worked with people recently and I've had so much feedback of like, oh, I bought this journal, I bought this book, I bought this hijab. It's like I know, and I like see some of the clicks depending on how I work, like I see the click-throughs, so it's like I know people are coming over from what I share, which is also a huge value to the client. It's just keeping that in mind as well.
Yeah. Was it a new thing? Because now you're talking about your personal Instagram account where you share like more lifestyle and you can have the opportunity to work with, like affiliate and on all of that. Like, was it something new, like a new like business model that you were, starting with this year?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, because even on, my travel Instagram account, I never really used to work with that many brands. It would be maybe more like press trips where it's like, away with them for a whole week and it's something a bit kind of bigger rather than like products. And then also on my travel side, it's always been like my blog, like that's still like my most financially viable like thing that I earn the most from still. So, so it is still, and it's still, like getting used to, working with different brands. I think I had an experience definitely that maybe the travel brands and the PR companies that I'd worked with, knew a bit more in terms of, obviously saying like, yes, it's fine to say ad. I've had a few issues with some like more smaller Muslim brands who don't want me to say ad and paid partnership, which obviously I understand. But there's also like a bit more like back and forth. Like I've kind of said like, this will be a really simple thing to just collaborate on. This is my fee. I've charged quite low because they're a small company, but then actually it's created a lot of work. In the end, it's a lot of back and forth. And then maybe things weren't exactly clear. And so then it's like, oh, wow, this took up so much of my time. It was only supposed to be a really simple thing.
Wow.
But obviously I understand that, you know, like small brands as well, you know, there's like, they've got their product that they're trying to push, and now they're on social media trying to promote it, wanting to work with influencers, but this is completely new to them as well. And I know this is kind of like the people that you kind of maybe speak to as well. So yeah, I feel like that's just taught me to like list a few things, like this is what I do, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I expect from you, this is what you can expect from me. And just like, it's been a bit of a process of like just learning, like a trial and error, really.
It's a learning experience, 100%. Yeah, like when you're in it, like were you talking to real companies and all of that and what you used to do, and if it's something new, you're like, I don't know what I'm gonna, you know, charge or like talk about, or like I don't know how it works. Like did you thought about, you know, talking with other influencers so they can point you in like what they're doing in their industry, or
Yeah, I mean, I do think this is what it's like one of them subjects that doesn't really get spoken about. I mean, even in the travel blogging industry, you know, I know people keep their cards very close to them, which I understand as well. It's, you know, it's competitive. And even when you're friends, you know, you go to the same conferences, you go to the same socials, like you are competitors at the end of the day for a lot of things. But I have definitely, like in travel blogging, and now, you know, in what I like say, my more personal Instagram, you know, I think if you can get like a group of close people. So I know with like travel blogging, there was a few of us girls who were all kind of doing the same thing. You know, we had like a WhatsApp group, and if something came through, we would kind of say like, you know, did you get an email about this? How much are you going to charge? And that was really good. It's not something that like kept on. But I think if you can kind of have, people that are close to you. And now, for example, you know, I have like a good friend, and we was talking about the retreats. I haven't actually mentioned we're doing the retreats, so maybe I can talk about that afterwards. Like Abdia, you know, and myself, we just met through Instagram like kind of a year ago, you know, and we get on really well. We really trust each other. That's why, you know, we've now created like a separate side business, and we've had conversations like, you know, how much did you charge? They came to me with this, and like trying to refer each other on. And so it's not something that I do, and I think it's very hard, but I think it's still something that I would like to do more, but like trying to find people that you do trust, and that who will flow like both ways with you.
Yeah, that's super interesting. You know, just the move from travel blogger business model to like influencer plus travel blogger, and then now doing the retreat. This is like, I think, the perfect segue to talk about it, because we really see the evolution, you know, the process going from one thing, and then you build upon that, and like in a few years. You know, how was it for you, first of all, on a mindset level, because it always starts here. It's like, okay, what was your mindset? What was your intention? You know, like, did you put an intention, or was it just an opportunity that came your way and you're like, okay, I'm doing it? How was that for you? And then you can talk like more on the, okay, this is the real project, this is what we're doing, and you know, it's happening this year. So definitely you can share that with us.
Yeah, I think for me, like it was, you know, before COVID, I started, and before I became slim, like I started to do some group travel trips for women. So I managed to run two to India before COVID hit. COVID hit. And then, you know, over that year process, then I became Muslim, and, you know, I still knew that people, you know, that the trips went really well. So I knew it was something that I wanted to keep doing. And it's still something that I hope to do more, the travel trips. But then the retreats just became about, because, you know, me and Abdia got talking. She's founded Modest Fitness, which is a platform I really enjoy and like. Then me and her became good friends. And then we were kind of like, okay, we need to go into this together. Like, let's you know, merge Modest Fitness with what I was doing before with tours, and kind of put it into a retreat. And, you know, both me and her are really passionate about, you know, meeting new people, and with me being a new Muslim, and, you know, knowing how hard it has been, we really wanted to create that space. And to be honest, from there, it just kind of, we put the idea on hold for a while, because of COVID, obviously we weren't sure with travel restrictions. You know, we didn't want to rush into it. But then towards the end of last year, I planned to meet her in Spain. And then we just kind of like started looking at retreat centers, and then we found somewhere, and then we just like flowed from there. And we've had a really great response.
Yeah, I love that. Again, like taking opportunities. I had a quote on my website for a while. Opportunities don't exist, you create them. And again, you were like, okay, this is something that we're passionate about, that we love, and you're having an understanding of like, travel groups and all of that. You did that, you enjoy it, and then you talked with Abdi, and then you were like, I remember you mentioning the fitness thing last year, so I was like, okay, I was doing modest fitness, and then other brands, and like now I'm working with a coach from Indonesia, a Muslim woman from Indonesia, and she does also online, fitness classes. So that's super interesting. And I love that we're doing stuff, online for Muslim women in a safe space, because a lot of us were like, okay, now that COVID really, taught us to live at home and, like from our computers, and we'll be like more restricted, we can do things at home, but then we can meet also outside. And I think in these retreats, like taking the digital relationships to the real world, and it's much more powerful in a new environment. So I just love that you're doing this together. And so I know that you had like 2 retreats for this summer. And it's full, like it's sold out.
Yeah, so we started with just one, and that's the other thing, it's built into something a bit bigger now, but first we literally started as 1 retreat, let's try and fill it in Spain. We went to see the venue, we did it for June, and like the woman told us, we can add extra accommodation, but we were like, let's just keep it like kind of the smaller numbers to start with, and then the reaction from it was really fantastic, and we sold out that retreat within 3 days. So wow. Like 2 women. So then afterwards we were like, okay, we need to do another one. So then we contacted the retreat center. She had a week free in July. So we did July. That one obviously took a little bit longer to fill then as well, just because I guess the people that were straight away like, I'm going to come, kind of booked onto June, which was fine. And then that one sold out. And then we decided, okay, let's do the UK, because a lot of the women that were joining from the UK, just naturally from both of our audiences, and most of it is UK majority. And so so now we've just put a UK retreat on sale, and then Abdia, along with Modest Fitness, because she recently also just like quit some side job that she was doing as well as Modest Fitness, it was just on Modest Fitness, so she then took the opportunity and realized there was a demand there, to start doing some more dates in Spain as well, which I'm not going to attend just because family life and everything now, I can't be constantly away. But
going from the single life to the mom life, married life, like in a day is like a real shock. So I definitely hear you.
Yes. So, but and it's like, I'm so supportive of her to carry on them. And, like I'm there, like I'm helping her still with a lot of things, and like they're in spirit as well. So I think that's the other thing, we kept it small, we kept it like modest in a way of like, we weren't sure like how well it was gonna go or be received, but I think obviously the fact that we both share so much of ourselves online as well, we really noticed that the women, we knew obviously you build a connection with people that you follow online, but the fact that people were just like so keen to then come away with us and put their trust in us, because when you do these ones for the start, like when I did the first one to India, I felt like so grateful for the people who put their trust in me. They couldn't see the photos or read a testimonial of one that had already happened. They're literally just trusting you that you are going to be able to pull this off and do it, but obviously that also comes from like potentially years of following you and following your travels.
Of course. Yeah, you definitely build a relationship. Actually in psychology called parasocial interactions. Like when you're watching someone, behind the screen, it's like your favorite artist or actor, you feel like you know them, and you start to build that like relationship 100%. And I think it's our job also behind the screen to keep these relationships through conversation, like through online meetings and all of that, to settle the relationship, to strengthen it also. So amazing. So you definitely, took the opportunity to have this following, to have people that trust you, and like make a business out of it by like rendering a service that was in need. And I love that, because COVID separated people for so long. Now we were like, okay, let's get together. And I think, please define, retreat, and what's the goal of the retreat? Like, what do you do there? And you were talking about modest retreat. So like, if you can like point people who don't know what it means, what what it does.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. So we're kind of, I think like the term retreat kind of tends to mean, yeah, like you're staying in one place, as in opposed to like traveling around somewhere. And also that it's got like a focus to it. So for us, it's kind of like health and wellness. So we're going to be doing like yoga classes, doing some like Zumba, just getting people's bodies moving, kind of like, you know, a fitness class, but without being like a boot camp. And then having extra things, you know, like we're going to be doing some creative writing workshops, journaling.
Nice. Okay.
And then on the, you know, more spiritual and religious side, you know, we want to do like dhikr circles, you know, and just like, you know, encouraging like just prayer, you know, praying together and just that kind of thing, and just creating conversation. You know, we've got a mix of like new Muslims that are coming, reverts, born Muslims. So yeah, so it's just kind of like a very wholesome few days. Like the ones in Spain are 6 days, but we'll also be visiting Granada, and in Spain, like going to Alhambra and learning about Islamic history in Spain. Obviously here in the UK, like we don't have that. We're going to be in the Lake District, so it's a little bit different, and it's shorter retreat. It's more focused on kind of well-being practices and going on hikes and the nature and things like that. But we just really want it to be like a reset, you know, a chance to firstly like meet the community, like meet other ladies, you know, and actually like you were saying before, obviously it's so important to be meeting up and having, you know, using the online platform to create the meetups and friendships, and then actually trying to do it in person. And, you know, we've then created you know, for our June and July retreats and stuff, we've got WhatsApp groups, and, you know, the ladies are already like ranging to meet up. Like I know the ladies in Manchester, I met with a few of them the other week. They're all going for dinner this week. I can't actually go, but like 4 of them are all meeting for dinner. You know, and it's amazing to know that those friendships are starting already. And that's, you know, really just when me and Abdi see that, it's just like, that is just what we wanted to create. We literally just wanted to like get women together in real life, like make new friends, because it's also so hard to make friends as an adult. It's you know, so hard. So.
I don't know why it became so hard, so awkward. I think, you know, I was having a conversation on that topic, and I'm like, because we've been online so long, you know, like texting and all of that, and it has become awkward, you know, like to create, you know, real offline relationship. But as much as, you know, Facebook want to do the metaverse and like live in a digital world, nothing replaces, you know, meeting in real person and in the flesh, and really, you know, having our energies together and like creating, you know, like a bigger and stronger energy out of it. So this is amazing. So retreats, I love it, and I can't wait to travel also, like next month, inshallah. Next month, inshallah. It's like, oh, I need some vacation, Ellie, because I've been nonstop also, and I just need to have a new environment and just enjoy, you know, life for a few out of it. So yeah, this is amazing. So I mean, throughout your journey, what was the biggest lesson learned, like so far, like for you?
I think really taking the risk, because, you know, like, yeah, even when I think back to 2018 and the years before that, so like I'd been traveling full time for a few years, like on and off. And then I moved to London in 2016, already had my blog as like a side thing, you know, was putting a lot of effort into it, like after work, weekends, before work, you know, and at times kind of like, you know, is this worth it? You know, why am I doing this? And to be honest, it was like the community that kept me going, because I actually had, you know, started to develop, you know, a few friendships with girls who were also doing travel blogging, and we would meet up. And I kind of thought, well, if I don't have my travel blog anymore, like, are they still going to want to meet me for coffee and like, you know, go out? I'm sure they would have, but anyways, that kind of kept me going.
Yeah.
And then I started realizing, you know, people actually do this full time, you know, they're working with brands, they're going on press trips and doing that, kind of living a dream of getting paid to travel. And, you know, I really kind of thought like, there is no reason why I can't do this either. And obviously that was, you know, like a year or so of like back and forth. Do I want to do it? Don't I? But I think there was a lot of self-doubt in there, obviously, when I was thinking, you know, that I don't want to do it. But I did take the jump in 2018, and, you know, like, I mean, to say, you know, if I told myself back then, you know, 2022, you'd still be doing it. You'd now have like extra streams of revenue and business opportunities coming through. And you just did like a global crisis that kind of knocked the travel industry as well. Last year, I genuinely thought, you know, like maybe I would have to get another job, which obviously I was fine with. I'm definitely not in a position where I'm like, oh, I'd never work again, like for someone else, or never.
Of course.
Obviously I'd rather not, but like, I'm fine too if it came to that, of course. So yeah, but still just taking that jump. And even now, you know, I really don't, and I think now every year it's increased now, where I don't doubt myself that, you know, like, oh, next year I might have to get a job. You know, I remember like 2019, it was like, you know, how long is this going to last for? Like, is this really my full-time thing? And then, you know, last year, obviously there was a lot of doubt. So yeah, but now I feel very positive. So I think it is really just like taking the leap, and but obviously preparing yourself as well. Like I said, I knew I was at a stage where my blog was doing well, it was building, I was starting to get emails from people to work with them. And actually the reason I completely decided at that point, like, let's leave my job, is that I was being offered trips, but I didn't have enough annual leave for my job. So
right.
like,
yeah.
It was a risk, and it was a privileged risk as well, of course, that I could try the risk. But you know, it wasn't like I started from scratch. Like if I started from scratch 2015, like, oh, I'm going to do this full time, like that would have been potentially, you know, disastrous. I would have had a lot of savings to keep me going without earning anything for a few years. Right. But yeah, I think just, and having that that confidence now, and you know, and I work, you know, hard on it still, and it's constant of, you know, learning new things. I just got a new theme for my blog right now to try and speed it up, to try and get people staying on it longer, you know, so now I'm spending hours like learning about that. So it's still just constantly learning as well, staying up to date with everything. I think even, you know, with Instagram, it's not like, oh, you get a few paid things through, like you just constantly got to learn, like, what are the trends, what's working, what do people want? So yeah, I guess no one thing, but just like taking a chance, but being prepared for it. And then also just continuing on the work, learning what's needed of you right now to be able to keep doing this full time.
I mean, there's nothing comes from like easy. You know, you gotta put in the work. And as you said, if you want to do this full time, you know, when you watch it from the other side, it looks easy. You know, yeah, it's just like with like traveling, making videos, putting out some pictures. Like, no, because it's a lot of work. And I love that you said, you know, there is the confidence competence loop. So this is again something that I teach. But the more you do something, the more you gain confidence, and vice versa. So it's definitely a loop. And the more you do something and you see that you're having results, well, it keeps you going. Were there any like strategies that you were using, you know, to keep you going, saying, you know, overcoming self-doubt, because it comes like fear and all of that is like crazy. When it comes, you're like, okay, now I'm doubting myself. I need to like, you know, you're getting these crazy thoughts about the future. Like, what kept you going in addition to like keeping doing the work and all of that? Were it things that you were saying to yourself or other things?
Yeah, I think actually, like we were saying before about like comparing yourself to other people, like I think in times where I've like doubted myself, like, is this possible? Is this really what I want to do? You know, I've actually used other people doing well, instead of like, you know, thinking of it as like competition, putting yourself down, as like ways to like build myself up. Like, okay, you know, this person's also did this similar to me, quit their job at the same kind of time, and they're getting this through and they're getting this through, and maybe I'm not doing that right now, but you know, it's possible. So actually using other people to kind of help me. And then I know when we spoke about like the savings and stuff, but honestly, like having some money saved really has helped me, you know that, yeah, like even if I had some bad months, like this isn't the end of it kind of thing, which is what COVID did prove. So that has definitely helped me. It's not like before when I've been traveling, you're running on like, you know, you hear people say like, oh, you know, I ran out of money and then I had to either really push it full time, you know, 100% into this new venture because it was that or nothing, which alhamdulillah I've never had. But I think that's kept me comfortable and like not made me, you know, kept me like, though I can do this because I have that kind of cushion as well. And yeah, I think like you said, like it is just the constant, like the more I do it, the more like easier it gets. Actually, even now, you know, when I think about like going forward, you know, my life and like, you know, retirement age, I'm kind of like, I don't think I need to retire because I'll just keep doing like my online stuff. You know, that's how confident I feel actually a lot of the time, which is you know, really, really amazing. You know, I do think like there's no reason why this can't change. Like everything's going to keep changing. And if you just like stick with it and, you know, your life adapts, but changes, but other people's do with you. And
the key skill that you said, you know, you're always learning, because this, like in this industry, in the digital world, is like everything is moving so fast that you need to update yourself. Just like the updates on your phone, it happens online. You got to update and adapt. This is the biggest skill. And I think once you have that, believe in yourself that, yes, I can do it if I just put in the work and I learn. And yes, I'm going to fail and I'm going to learn, but at least I have this, you know, mindset from the beginning. And of course, you can do it. You're no different than another person, you know. We always have, like, we all have a brain, 2 hands, 2 feet, you know, like we should be okay. So no worries around that. Coming to like an end of this conversation, Ellie, is there anything, first of all, that you want to add, that I haven't asked you about that you deemed, important to share with us? And what is coming up for you? What is it, like where people can find you, like work with you, like with the retreats and the blog and all of that? This is like your PR time now.
Thank you. One thing I was thinking actually that I guess I didn't mention before as well is, even especially if like maybe someone's listening who is a content creator as well, like I think it's also important, something that I also do is, obviously you work on ads with companies and you work on like sponsored things, but I think it is also obviously so important to, share everything that's not an ad. Like, for example, when I go on a trip, like I share just as much as I would, if not sometimes more, than if it was a sponsored trip. And I think that really gains that trust, and it becomes like, not like everything that you post is like a sponsored ad, like, oh, she's just saying that because she gets paid for it,
Right.
So that's something that I do really focus on. And especially even on, my personal account, when I post like products like hijabs or something like that, like a lot of them I paid for myself anyway, but maybe I post them like it's an ad because I just genuinely enjoy it and I want to promote that brand. But then I hope that then when it does come to working with someone and someone's like happy to invest in me to pay me to promote something that I agree with, it's like then we can, it's like people already trust me. So I would say like that's super important. But yeah, like going forward now, we're doing the retreat. So our UK retreat is on sale, and you can, like, if you go onto my Instagram, which is the @_equin, then you'll be able to find out all about that. It's in my profile about the retreats, and inshallah we'll keep doing them quite regularly as well. So
awesome.
Even if they're sold out, it's worth just following along. And then, I'm just going to keep on with what I'm doing. I mean, like Ramadan is coming up, and I've actually already had like a few really great collaborations coming through from Ramadan, of like
nice.
products that I genuinely love, like, and the fact that they're like wanting to work with me to help promote them further, is just like, it's just so
awesome.
And I feel really, really grateful for that, and like happy to be able to have a platform to share. And my travel blog, I'm still going. Like, I live in Manchester now, so I'm looking to start making some like more Northern England, Manchester content. Like I want to be like the blog that you go to for Manchester, which is going to take a lot of work, a lot of research, days out, eating, which isn't always bad. It's a good
exactly
job.
I have to go to a restaurant to shoot some content.
I'm going to make a best coffee guides. I'm just going to have to go to every cafe in Manchester. But no, that's like one of my aims that I want to really work on the next few like years or so. And as long as people are reading blogs, like I'm like, that's fine. That's like what I can keep doing. So inshallah. But so my Instagram, like for my travel, is The Wandering Quinn, which is my blog name. And then like my YouTube is just Ellie Quinn. And then like Ellie Quinn is also where you'll find me on Instagram as well.
And of course, we're going to put everything in the show notes so people can have everything on a click and join you on your journey. And I love just watching your stories and like, it's good to connect with, personally with someone and then, learn, because especially for travel, like you're like, okay, should I go to TripAdvisor or like where you have tons of like, no, this is crazy. When you have someone like you that is doing stuff, you are in like, you might like them more than if you go to TripAdvisor, and it saves you so much energy and resources. That I just love that. I wish you all the best, Ellie. I'm super excited for you, and we'll share everything with people. And I mean, you have to come back, as I always say to everybody, like for season 3 or even season 2, whatever, like come and join us. And I love that you shared so many like strategies, tips, and inspiration. Again, it's possible. You just have to believe in yourself and then do the work, like especially online now, you have so many resources that you don't have any excuses. And then you can also reach out to people, say, because this is something that I want to do. Like, can you give me some pointers? Like, where do I start or anything like that? And most of the people, yes, we want to give back. And especially as Muslims, like this is just, what we're supposed to do. So I love that you're on this journey and that this is a crazy life for you, 2022, like marriage mom / like new business mentor. So enjoy it. And may Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for, like everything that you do for us, especially sharing the products from small Muslim also companies is also a way to help our ummah and community. So it's great that you're doing it and you're, of course, enjoying it and being authentic. And that's what is necessary. So I just love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. No, it's so nice to chat to you. Love, brilliant.
Yay, thank you.